What's up, Tanner J-Man Show Nation? This is Tanner Lee, one half of the Tanner J-Man Show, and on behalf of myself and my co-host Josh the J-Man Munt, we appreciate you listening to our podcast. If you're a new listener to our podcast, please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts at. If that happens to be on Apple Podcasts, please give us a rating and review, as that helps us out a bunch. Watch our podcast live every Monday night from 6:30 to 7:30 Eastern Standard Time on the ISC Sports Network. And make sure to give us a like on Facebook and a follow on Twitter and Instagram at Tan and J-Man Show. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy some hot takes, topics, picks, and more on a brand new episode of the Tan and J-Man Show. What is up, Tan and J-Man Show Nation? Happy New Year to you all. It's 2022. It's Monday night. It's January 3rd. J-Man and I are ready to bring you episode 1 of season 6 of the Tan and J-Man Show.
There's something about the new year that just energizes me. I don't know if it was my 4 days off of work or what, but I'm raring and ready to go.
Hitting the gym, J-Man, getting swole?
Maybe next week.
Maybe next week. I thought you were going to say maybe next year.
Yeah, probably next year is the price. I mean, we're already 3 days in. Why blow it now? You know, I mean, might as well just push it off till next year.
But you're right. There is something about the new year. I don't know, something, even if it's sports related, it kind of gives you optimism for your teams, even though there's really no optimism for our NFL teams as far as their playoff hopes go.
Yeah. Dolphins get right back in and are eliminated the next week. It was an incredibly familiar feeling, let me tell you.
You know, I was reminded this morning on Twitter that from 1983 through 2016, the Broncos had 5 losing seasons. Now they've had 5 losing seasons straight.
Yeah.
Good job, guys.
Dolphins have not won a playoff game since I was 8.
That's incredible.
I remember watching it too. It was an overtime game against the Colts. One of probably the first shank from Mike Vanderjagt that helped the Dolphins win that one. But I don't know what it feels like.
Yeah, and you had that tweet, I think, or retweeted something and showed all the years since like 2000. What, Miami's 2 playoff appearances?
2 playoff appearances since 2002. Yeah,
jeez,
2007-8 season, and then 2016.
You thank Tom Brady for a lot of those, but
still,
it's.
I mean, it does kind of suck. They added the playoff team last year. They win 10 games and still didn't get in. They have a chance to finish over 500, and they're still not going to get in. But I was pretty chill yesterday. Just don't start 1-7 and lose to Jacksonville. That's all you would have had. If they would just beat Jacksonville, they probably would have had a playoff spot clinched already.
You're right. I was complaining
at home
yesterday, even though I didn't figure that the Broncos would win against the Chargers, especially with like 12 guys out due to COVID. A lot of them were big-time playmakers for them. But the whole time I'm just still yelling about the week 4. If you just beat the Raiders, you'd be right there in the hunt.
Right there in it.
But, I mean, they took care of the crappy teams on their schedule, but anybody close to 500, over 500, they couldn't beat. So,
and the reality of the situation, neither team's probably good enough to even make it, to be honest. So
I mean, neither one of them, even if they would have got in, they probably wouldn't lasted long, but it still would have been nice just to make it.
Just to have an appearance.
Is what it is.
Yep. I have some Birdie Bogey for you. It's not NFL related. It's NBA related. Your favorite.
Oh gosh, but it's a new year. I can start off with the Birdie.
Yep.
Let's go. Let's do it.
We are starting at even. Devin Booker became the 3rd player ever to have 10,000 points and 800 made threes before turning the age of 26.
Oh my gosh.
Can you name those 2 other players? 1 gets you a par, 2 gets you a birdie.
Oh, that's going to be tough.
I think you have a pretty good chance to stay even at least.
That's the kiss of death. Anytime you think I have a good chance to do something, never works. But I'm going to give him give it the old college try. Give him my best effort.
Birdie Bogey brought to you by Noble Gnome LLC for fresh, locally grown, nutrient-dense produce. And Bryce and Katie Romine of Mentone, Indiana. Like them on Facebook, follow them on Instagram, and check out their website, noblegnomellc.com. Get your veggies!
Yeah, it'd help if I get the lower third up there. You know, you think it's my first rodeo here. We've all been doing StreamYard for like 2 years. So
new year, new Tanner.
Jeez, already falling behind. But we got a lot to talk about tonight, Jay, man. I mean, we got college football, bowl season, championship matchup set. We have college hoops going on. Conference season for the Big Ten started.
Love conference season.
Of course, we have NFL, 17 weeks in the books, week 18 going on this week. So we have winners and losers to go over and a preview of predictions. So what are we starting with? I'm putting the ball in your court.
Oh, man. Let's start with some college bowl action. I mean, we saw a classic Music City Bowl that I see you're wearing your Purdue little zip up there.
I am. It doesn't zip up anymore. It's so old. No. But no, that was a fun football game, especially if you're a fan of scoring. I mean, if you got up to go to the restroom or go to get a snack, you in the third or fourth quarter, you probably missed a touchdown. It was just back and forth. And I was just really proud of Purdue. Even halfway through the game, I said, looked at my dad, I said, you know what? Even if they lose the game, I'm proud of their effort. I mean, without 7 starters, 2 being out, for their NFL careers, 2 academic-wise, 1 injured, and then 2 tested positive for COVID while down in Nashville. So they're without 7 starters. And, I think Tennessee was without 2 starters. And you're playing at Nissan Stadium, holds a little over 69,000. They estimated 62,000 or so were orange and white Tennessee fans. So it was just a pure road game.
That's so crazy because when I was watching it sure felt like Purdue fans were a lot louder for whatever reason.
They must have been mic'd up right by the maybe right under the announcers or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, they said Purdue had a decent crowd. 7,000 isn't awful, I guess. I think they sold out of all their tickets they had, but when Knoxville's only 2.5 to 3 hours away from Nashville, it's kind of advantage Tennessee, which maybe they shouldn't be allowed to play in that bowl. But I don't think they usually do well in that bowl because their fans are saying boycott the Music City Bowl from now on. And of course, the controversial call in overtime, which their fans are still whining today. Paul Feinbaum said Tennessee's 8-5 in his opinion. Yeah. And I'm like, for one, dude, you didn't even give Purdue the field goal credit in your final score.
Right.
And 2, okay, Tennessee scores. They still had to stop Purdue. I think a lot of people forget that part.
And they hadn't stopped them all second half, really. Right. And of course, you have a chance to stop them. You might get a lucky bounce or something and get a turnover.
Sure.
But I mean, they would have had to stop them. I wouldn't have been surprised if Purdue just went for 2 and tried to end it there anyway.
That's what I looking back, I kind of wish that would have happened. They would have just gave Tennessee the touchdown. Purdue would have scored, went for 2, got it. Then what would Tennessee's excuse be? Because you could go after Heupel. Heupel coached a dumb game in the fourth quarter. I mean, Tennessee really helped Purdue out with some decisions they made. I thought he got very cocky with some of his clock management, and he could have extended lead by 5 early in the fourth quarter and went for it on 4th and 1 and didn't get it. Just things like that. I thought he kind of is to blame too.
Yeah, it was a really good game. I mean, it went a lot better than the last time Purdue was in the Music City Bowl.
Well, that didn't take much.
I think Purdue gave up 45 points within the first 7 minutes or so.
It was awful. Well, when it was 21-7 halfway through the first, I'm like, here we go again.
Yeah.
But
I mean, obviously credit Purdue. I mean, without really their 2 best players in David Bell and George Karlaftis, as well as 5 other starters. I mean, Brom needed that season for one.
Sure did.
And he probably saved himself from maybe some hot seat talk next year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a contract extension now. I bet they're working something behind the scenes. I mean, because 9 wins, that's the most Purdue's had since 2003.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they've only had 1 10-win season in their history. And this is, of course, there's that big debate right now. What do bowl games even mean to these players? And the players that were on the field the other day, that meant a lot to them. And it can take your program into a momentum direction sometimes. So.
And honestly, it's an accomplishment in itself just to play the game.
Oh, it was.
We saw so many bowl games canceled heading up to Thursday, really.
And really, since Thursday, you haven't seen any.
None. Yeah, it's weird. I mean, you had I don't think one New Year's Six Bowl was canceled or postponed.
Nope.
Of course, they're going to do everything in their power to try to do the playoff games.
Sure.
Which honestly, two of those teams could have forfeited anyways. It wouldn't have made a difference.
I'm glad you brought that up because, I mean, I'm glad they're going to extend the playoffs. It needs extended, but it's a broken system. What can they do to fix it? Because every single game besides the championships, and even the championships in some cases, are blowouts.
Ban Nick Saban. Like that's literally the only thing holding this system up is Nick Saban. That is it.
Yeah.
No one's beating him. Like, no one's going to beat him. I don't think Georgia has a shot in the world.
Oh, I think they have a shot.
I mean, we thought that in the SEC championship too, and they just got absolutely whooped. And I'm sure that will probably play into it, and it'll probably be a lot better game. But you take Nick Saban away from Alabama, and it just opens things up. I don't think expanding the playoff does anything. I think it's going to be the same two teams every single year. We're going to see blowout after blowout. Now, the early games of the playoff might be better than, say, whoever Alabama's facing. And it gives more teams a chance, but I don't think the outcome's going to be any different.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like, I mean, I didn't even watch a minute of the two playoff games. I
don't
preoccupied
think I did
doing other things, but and then I checked score. I'm like, that's not worth my time. The Rose Bowl was entertaining.
That was a great Rose Bowl game. The Rose Bowl never disappoints.
No,
ever.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Seems like every year it's that.
I still think it's the best bowl game there is with the tradition and everything.
Yeah, it's definitely the most prestigious, as you said, with the tradition. As far as the non-playoff games, I think that is by far. I mean, they call it the granddaddy of them all for a reason.
I don't like it when it is one of the playoff bowls. It kind of takes away from it a little bit. What do you think of Kirk Herbstreit's comments the other day?
Idiotic. Yeah. Like, I don't agree with that whatsoever. Guys are finally getting smart enough. Players are finally getting smart enough to know I could lose millions upon millions of dollars if I get injured here in a really meaningless ball game. They're not meaningless. I shouldn't say that, but for a non-playoff game, it makes all the sense in the world.
Glorified exhibition, kind of.
It essentially is. And I mean, they're fun to watch and all of that. But to call this generation soft and they don't care about football just because they're protecting their own interests. I mean, as I saw people say this on Twitter, well, why don't you broadcast a game for the love of the game instead of getting a paycheck this week? Same thing.
I think he could have got the point over better if he was more careful with his words, because I think I know what he was trying to say, because I do think there's a little truth to what he was saying, not related to the Bulls, but just this generation in general, and even our age. I do think video games and other things and staying inside instead of going outside and being active. I do think a lot of kids are growing up and don't love the sport as much as maybe kids of a decade, 2 decades ago. But yeah, like you said, they're making a business decision, and you can't fault a kid for wanting to play in the bowl game or not play.
Sure. Don't rip the kid. I mean, you're looking at what's happening in the NFL now. Jamar Chase opted out of last football season. He is going to win AFC or NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Oh, yeah.
Micah Parsons opted out. Dude's been unbelievable because they opted out and they worked on individual skills they needed to do. And they're absolute superstars now. So I think we're going to see more and more kids starting to do this.
And I think it's not only I'm sure they're worried about breaking a bone or something, but not just that. It's probably more tweaking an ankle or a knee, and then to where you're fine by the combine, but you still take a 0.2 of a second off your 40 or whatever.
Or you can't run at all, or you can't work out at all that stuff. So,
So yeah, I like Kirk Herbstreit, but I thought he was a little off there.
Yeah. And it didn't help that Desmond kind of jumped right on top and added to it, which, I mean, it's part of ESPN's fault because Kirk's having to broadcast 4 games in 5 days. He's having to travel across the country. It's really, really early in the morning out in California, and he's having all this travel, and I'm sure he's just not thinking nearly as clearly as he usually does. And he probably has the same opinion, but as you said, his words could have been a lot better, and I'm sure they could have been a lot better had he gotten a little bit more rest maybe. Now, that's not to defend him at all, but I mean, Kirk could have come out and clarified things as well, or ESPN could have come out, but they couldn't care less about what these guys say. They're just going to continue to say their stuff and not apologize for anything. And so,
yeah, Kirk did come out later and and he kind of, in better words, tweeted what he was trying to say. but
I did not see
what?
that.
Once it's already out there, it's already out there.
Yeah, it's already out there, and people's opinions aren't going to change.
What do you think about the Big Ten performances so far?
Pretty good up until really
lately, like the
up
last
until
few days.
Penn State, Iowa, and Michigan played.
Yeah.
I mean, Minnesota won their bowl game. Maryland blew out, I think, Virginia Tech.
Yeah, killed them. Pinstripe.
Put up 56 points. You knew Michigan didn't have a shot. And honestly, that's part of the committee's fault there.
Michigan State got it done without Walker.
Yeah, they did against Pitt.
Yeah, even though Pitt didn't have Pickett. But that's fair. Both teams don't have their best player.
And going back to Michigan, it probably should have been Alabama versus Georgia in that first game, but they wanted to protect that sort of matchup there,
which will be great for the city of Indianapolis. I mean, that's gonna be great that they get that matchup.
But it's one of those things where it's the same two teams every year that I don't know if I'm going to watch it because I just don't care.
Right. Even though last times they made it, it was the Tua's throw, replacing Hurts. It was a classic.
It was a really good one, but I think people just kind of have Alabama fatigue, and we've talked about this for a couple years now. They have Alabama fatigue, they have SEC fatigue, and really ESPN and the committee and the NCAA does everything in their interest to protect that. They don't care about parity whatsoever.
I have Notre Dame fatigue when it comes to college football playoff or the New Year's Six Bowls.
They have lost 10 straight. 0-10. Yeah. And this, I mean, they got up 28-7. Like, maybe Marcus Freeman's going to turn this thing around. And I saw some Notre Dame fans tweet, and this team's better than Cincinnati and Michigan. Well, you lost to Cincinnati for one. 2, you would have lost to Michigan.
Yeah.
And 3, you just let Oklahoma State come back and beat you almost by double digits after being up 21.
And I know, once again, it's a glorified exhibition, but it just feels like another good Notre Dame season ends with a thud.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. And, I mean, they're getting to the point where they're playoff or bust as well.
Yes.
Those games, the bowl games don't mean anything. Just it's much like Ohio State in that fact as well. Yep. There were, like, so few Ohio State fans at the Rose Bowl. It was a Utah home game almost.
Well, and Purdue, Illinois, they go to a Rose Bowl once every 40 years. Yeah. So you got to go. Ohio State, if they don't make championship, they go to Rose Bowl almost every year. So it's nothing new. And that's why we're seeing so many kids opt out of the Rose Bowl. I honestly think if Purdue would have made the Rose Bowl, David Bell, George Kalafdis, they probably play in that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, in Ohio State, Notre Dame, it's funny we're talking about those. They play each other week 1 next year at Columbus.
That'll be fun. Yeah. Marcus Freeman's alma mater. Yep. That'll be a good one.
Looks like he grabbed one of his former teammates, James Laurinaitis. Looks like he's going to be Notre Dame staff.
So I didn't realize Freeman was there. I guess he's that age where he would have been there with Laurinaitis.
Yeah, I don't know what the overlap was exactly, but I think they were there at
probably about the
1
same
year
age.
Of the four seasons, because Laurinaitis graduated in 2007.
I would say maybe Freeman was a little after that if he's 34-ish. So probably had a few years overlap.
Yeah. So that will be a fun big time college football week 1 matchup. But we got 2 bowl games left, Kansas State, LSU, and then the championship game. And I'm going to check the Tana J-Man Show bowl pick'em standings because they have shifted dramatically in the last few days. I was kind of surprised. Of course, a lot of people, to be honest, took a big hit in the Tennessee-Purdue game. Let's see here. Right now with the lead with 428 points, our good buddy Andrew Eiler has the lead.
Andrew Eiler.
Which he wasn't even towards the top, but his what was big for him lately was he had 27 on Ohio State and 29 on Baylor, and he's won 8 of the last 9 games. The only one he missed was Notre Dame for 8.
I'm sick of Andrew winning things.
My cousin's husband, Nate Mills, is in 2nd. My dad's in 3rd. I'm in 4th.
Where's the J-Man at?
J-Man 9th.
We used to do this pick'em every year for money. And every year, like heading into like that final week or even weekend, I'd be right in there in that money range, 1 through 3. And every time I'd like drop down to 12th or something like that without fail. So that's pretty much happened the same.
Yep, that's why I look at standings every day just to see if I'm like, even a couple days ago, I'm like, this thing's far from over because there's going to be some big shifts at the end. So, yep.
Nice.
But any more bull talk?
No, I guess we'll pick the championship game on next Monday.
Next Monday. Yep.
I mean, we could talk about that controversial blowing the whistle, which I think the guy's forward progress was stopped, and it's illegal to even carry the guy into the end zone like that anyway. So
right, but
they can't complain about it.
It was wild on the replay because live time I thought his knee was down. I didn't even think he was laying on top of the guy, and then the replay. Yeah, that's unfortunately the rule, and we've seen bad forward progress stoppage calls in the past.
I mean, what was it? It was the Clemson Ohio State. Was that it in the playoff a couple years ago?
They all run together anymore.
Yeah, I don't. It might not even been that sort of situation, but felt like it kind of hurt Ohio State.
Yep, and then of course the Bush push back in the day. I mean, you can't do that either. So, but it didn't get called. So it's yeah. But the Paul Feinbaums on the world just make me laugh. And,
yeah, I mean, I don't know why these guys go out of the way to defend Tennessee. I think it's an SEC thing more than anything.
It is, and he works for an SEC network, so it's. I mean, as part of the Boiler Breakdown, we had a good time on the Tennessee podcast. The other, we were on a Tennessee podcast last week. They were all nice to us, at least to our face, but they were a little different on Twitter. But that's okay. That's all right. So
yeah, Tennessee fans have become maybe the most insufferable in college
football.
They
are very toxic, and I know Purdue fans are loving the tears of the Tennessee fans. So because a lot of them were pretty darn mean before the game, and of course a lot of them even wanted to bring up the Carson Edwards not giving them room to land and they brought that up too. So they
brought up basketball, huh? Man.
Yeah. So, which it was nice. A lot of Purdue fans were just sending them Ryan Klein gifts. So I had to have some fun with it. I mean, Tennessee, I'm tired of playing them in sports, to be honest.
They're just playing basketball every year.
Almost every year. And football, they've won this year and then the 1980 Blue Bonnet Bowl. And later on that year, Purdue's basketball team made the Final Four. So hopefully it's a good omen.
Maybe.
Hopefully. Yeah. What's next, J-Man?
You want to be educated?
Yeah, I need to learn some stuff on January 3rd here.
On this day in 1920, the Boston Red Sox baseball club owner Harry Frazee announces agreement to sell slugger George Herman Ruth to the New York Yankees for
great move.
$125,000 in cash and a $350,000 loan. It was the start of the 84-year Curse of the Bambino.
It was fun while it lasted.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Red Sox are dynasty.
Yeah. Betty White passed away.
Yeah, that was too bad. That was 2 weeks,
Friday.
2 weeks before her 100th birthday.
Babe Ruth hit, I think I saw 552 homers after Betty White was born. Which tells you how long Betty White lived.
Yeah, it does. Wow.
That's insane. On this day in 1971, it was the first ever AFC championship. Baltimore Colts beat the Oakland Raiders 27-17. John Madden, who passed away last week, was the head coach of the Raiders. The Raiders.
Yeah, John Madden. We didn't even get to speak on this last week because it hadn't happened yet. It was terrible to see. I mean, it's bad when I'm talking good of a Raider. But John Madden was a huge part of my childhood growing up playing video games. I still play Madden's video games to this day. That's the way I keep in touch with a lot of my buddies out of town. We play an online franchise. And he better be on the cover next year's game. That's all I got to say.
And I'm glad I did that word association a few weeks ago with it was all the Madden covers of the past.
That was very fitting.
Or so years, so it worked pretty well.
It did.
On this day in 1973, a 12-man syndicate led by Michael Burke and George Steinbrenner III buys MLB's New York Yankees from CBS. CBS owned the Yankees. I did not know that.
I did know that. I think they got them fairly cheap then, too.
Guess the price. I have it right here.
Man. This is going to be way off. Like $70 million?
You get a bogey.
$700 million?
$10 million.
Oh, not even. Wow, I was way off.
A little different day back in 1973.
I was off by $60 million. It could have been a lot worse.
Yeah. If you would have guessed $700 million, it'd be even farther off. On this
only
day,
$690 million there.
60, yeah. I could have done the math a lot easier there. On this day in 1981, your favorite golfer of all time, Johnny Miller, wins the sport's first $1 million tournament when he beat Seve Ballesteros of Spain in a playoff in the inaugural $1 million World Challenge at Sun City, South Africa.
God, I hadn't thought about Johnny Miller in a long time.
Johnny.
Gosh, he's the worst. Just the worst.
On this day in 1983, Dallas Cowboys running back ran a record 99-yard touchdown against the Minnesota Vikings. That was pretty legendary for a while.
Who was it?
Tony Dorsett. Did I not say that?
No, you said Cowboys running back.
Tony Dorsett. Forgot his name.
Yeah, he was a good one.
On this day in 1994, Steve Young of the San Francisco 49ers becomes the first quarterback to win 3 straight NFL passing titles.
It's incredible. They went from Montana to Young.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's just wild.
And they were kind of pushing Montana out for Steve Young.
Sure, he went to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yep.
On this day in 1997, legendary UTEP head basketball coach Don Haskins becomes the 10th coach in NCAA Division I history to record 700 wins.
That's a lot of wins.
He was the legendary UTEP coach that started 5 African Americans in the national championship game.
Weren't they Texas Western then?
Yep, Texas Western then.
Glory Road?
Yep, it was a great movie. Mm-hmm. Who won the 3rd BCS championship in 2001?
2001, that would have been, might be off by a year here. Was that Miami over Nebraska?
Nope, that was the next
02.
Year.
So 01 would have been, let's go with, crud. Oklahoma was in it, right?
Is that your guess?
Yeah, Oklahoma.
You redeemed yourself, and you're back up to even in this.
Heupel was the runner-up for the Heisman that year. Winky was first. Drew Brees was third. Michael Vick and LT were 4th and 5th.
The final score was 13-2.
Who'd they play?
Florida State.
Okay, because Florida State beat Virginia Tech the year prior to that.
Who won in 2003?
Okay, so I got to think. 2003, so 03 was Ohio State over Miami.
Yep. That was
Miami should have won the late
extremely controversial
in the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl.
If anyone has a case to say they got absolutely screwed over, it was Miami.
Yeah, I remember because that was like the first year I did the bowl pick 'em, and I had Miami. So I was watching at a friend of the show, Austin Faust's house. I was going nuts that Miami was going to win. Then he throws the flag. I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On this day, and that's going to do it.
That's a pretty good list.
Yeah, it was a lot better than last week. Last week was awful.
And we actually don't have an On This Day segment right now. So if you're listening to this podcast or watching and yourself or your business or organizations looking to do some advertising for a cheap price, contact Josh or I and get you set up to be the On This Day sponsor every week. So,
sir.
Yep.
Moving on to a little bit of baseball news.
Oh.
There is no real baseball news, but I thought this was interesting and quite frankly sad and really, quite frankly, again, ticks me off. Ken Rosenthal was just fired by MLB Network over his past criticism of Commissioner Rob Manfred. That is sad.
Yep. Rob,
that is sad.
Mm-hmm.
That is pathetic. Man, that pisses me off, quite frankly.
Well, since we're on the MLB topic, we said last week we we're going to come up with 22 bold predictions for 2022, and we do 7, 7, and 8 the next 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And one of mine, 7, has to do with the MLB. So are you ready
to of them here.
Give bold predictions? My one related to MLB is I predict that the MLB season will not start on time.
Mine is Major League Baseball and MLBPA will come to an agreement by the end of January, and we'll get a spring training. So
I hope you're right, and I'm wrong. Uh-huh. I hope so.
Yeah.
But what's one of your other ones?
I have the Chicago Cubs will sign Carlos Correa or Trevor Story. hopefully Correa, if I'm choosing between those two.
I could see that.
That was it for baseball.
Yeah, that was my only baseball one. This one I think is definitely going to happen. I think Big Ben's going to retire.
Yeah, I think that's pretty safe bet. One of my other ones, the Chicago Bulls will get the number 1 seed in the East.
Okay, Dan Dockage. Today,
lose in the playoffs.
Dockage said the Bulls are going to the finals today, so he just cursed the Bulls.
I don't think they're going to go to the finals. I think they're legitimately really good and probably a top 3 team in the East right now.
They are getting it done right now.
I don't see them beating Milwaukee.
Yeah. I still have not watched more than about 5 minutes of NBA action this year. So.
I've tuned into the Bulls more often than not, mainly because they're good, mainly because of Io DeSumo.
I was going to say, they got your boy on the team.
But other than that, haven't watched a whole lot of NBA.
I got quite a few NFL ones here. I said Aaron Rodgers will be a Green Bay Packer come week 1 of the 2022 season.
I have that on my list as well. I said Aaron Rodgers will remain a Green Bay Packer. So.
Yep, I've swayed my opinion over the last 2 months.
It sounds like, and there was a report yesterday that their relationship is so much improved that they're going to do everything in their power to keep him, which why they didn't try to do that last offseason is ridiculous. But
I mean, I guess we'll see how things play out in the playoffs, but I think he'll remain there. And I do want to give – go ahead.
It will be interesting because Devontae Adams is a free agent. So if he were to sign somewhere else, does Rodgers think a little differently?
Right. And it's 7:01 now. I see for the Tan and J-Man Show Nation, I wanted to be known that I am missing the Purdue home game against Wisconsin to do this podcast.
Pretty big.
So I am in it for you guys.
Yep. I am currently watching it in the background here. Wisconsin just missed a 3 to start it.
Was it Johnny Davis?
It was not Johnny Davis. It was number 22. Don't know what his name is. I haven't watched a whole lot of Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin's garbage, even though they've had an incredibly easy non-conference schedule.
Did you know they've come back 4 times down double digits in the second half to win games?
Well, it's taken them overtime to beat Illinois State.
Right.
They beat Nicholls State by 3.
Hey, Nicholls can shoot lights out, man.
I mean, you saw them shoot lights out. But I don't think Wisconsin's very good.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Big Ten, I have an extremely bold prediction here that I think you'll probably scoff at. Only 4 Big Ten teams will make the NCAA tournament this year.
It wouldn't shock me.
I have Michigan State, Ohio State, Illinois, and Purdue. Those are my 4 that I think have the best shot.
You don't think Michigan turns it around?
They have to start. I mean, they had a bad road loss at Central Florida. Got whooped.
I know.
Indiana's losing to Penn State. I don't believe in Wisconsin because their non-con was so bad. I don't believe in Minnesota. Minnesota has a huge opportunity tomorrow against the quad 1 team in Illinois that they have to get done at home, really. I think if they have a shot. Iowa, have we seen enough from Iowa to think they're an NCAA tournament team?
No, not consistent enough right now.
I'm trying to think of other teams.
I feel like so many teams haven't played in the Big Ten because of COVID.
And that's fair. Rutgers has been disappointing.
Yeah.
So I think
bold. It's bold. It's what this is for.
Bold prediction.
Well, I will go back to my NFL one after this one because it's funny you brought that up. I said the ACC will have 4 or less teams make the tournament.
They might have 2 or less teams make the tournament.
It's incredible.
Duke, for the first time, I saw this stat. I think it's first time in 70 or 80 years, maybe, that the ACC only had 1 team receiving votes in the Associated Press, and it was Duke.
Yeah,
only 1.
Duke doesn't have a ranked team left on their schedule. Yeah,
that's pathetic.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's awful.
It's been that way for like 3 weeks.
And the ACC was terrible last year too. Remember?
Right.
So
I don't hate to see it.
No, I can't stand the ACC. Let's see here. I think we will see a rematch of the Super Bowl from last year.
I hope you're wrong, but it
Kansas
wouldn't
City.
shock me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong too. I hope it's not Green Bay though.
I do have another college basketball one. I think Purdue will be the only university out of the state of Indiana to make the tournament.
That's a very good possibility. I mean, Indiana's really their only hope. And
I don't see Notre Dame or Butler. I don't know about the little schools, the Valpo,
I mean,
they can always win their conference tournament and get in.
Yeah, and that's the only way they can get in.
Yeah,
probably.
but I'm thinking they won't.
Indiana needed that game yesterday. They still can't score. Like they're the exact same offense that we've seen under Archie Miller.
Yep,
exact same team.
Their message boards were pretty comical last night.
I bet.
A lot of them were saying this was just a Band-Aid hire. Woodson will be out in 3 years. All this other stuff. So it's like,
did Mason Gillis shoot many threes last year?
Yeah.
Did he? Okay, he's already made 2 of them today.
He's a good 3-point shooter. He just needs to take his time.
Interesting.
Hey, he's starting in the Caleb First is back in the lineup, but he's not starting tonight. He was out with COVID protocols last week. So
hey, at least you guys only had 1. Illinois had 10. They had 10 guys. So
yep.
The number 1 seed in the AFC will not win a playoff game.
So that's most likely the Titans.
Tennessee. Yeah, if Tennessee beats Houston, they clinch the 1 seed.
Yeah,
so.
and it sounds like Derrick Henry is going to be back for the playoffs. They announced today.
So they're gonna get the 1 seed against Houston.
A few other ones I had here. Russell Wilson will not be the Seahawks starting quarterback come week 1.
Could definitely see that.
I don't know where exactly he'll be. I think it's time for Seattle to blow it up.
They should. I mean, they had a heck of a run, decade run essentially.
Yep.
It's time. They're not good anymore. My last one here, at least one wild card team will play in the championship game.
Interesting. I like that one.
In the NFL.
That'd be fun.
And I think the team Arizona in the NFC, I could see the Colts in the AFC. I can't see any other AFC teams doing it unless maybe New England somehow wins the division.
Yeah, I don't see the Raiders or the Chargers doing it.
No, the winner gets in. And there's an off chance both can get in, but it requires Jacksonville beating Indianapolis, which is not going to happen. So.
No. My last one, I think Peyton Manning will become part of an ownership group for the Denver Broncos.
They need somebody up top to start making some decisions.
Absolutely. This Bolin Trust thing's been a mess for years, and it's time because it's hurting the franchise. You don't have anybody the GM can look to really, or a figure. So it's time. It's time to start from the top to the bottom. My worry is, they're going to lose this weekend. My worry is they keep Fangio but get rid of the rest of the staff. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And I mean, you've been a known hater of Pat Shurmur because his offenses are so terrible.
I just about said a word that's never been said on the Tanner J Man show. So glad I caught myself there. That was really close. The guy's terrible. All you need to know yesterday is Drew Lock got hurt for a series, his shoulder. When he comes back in, Shurmur runs a QB sneak. And in the goal line, he runs a Philly special to where Locke caught it and got tackled. Are you trying to hurt the guy? I mean, idiot.
And wasn't there a report? I think I just saw you favorite something on Twitter that the players have gone up to him and say, hey, this isn't working. And he's pretty much told them, you're a player, I'm a coach, let me do my job.
Yep.
You have no input.
That was such a bad move.
It's really shocking his head coaching tenure. And was he in the New York Giants?
Yep.
Went so poorly.
Yeah. He's awful. All right, you ready for some word association real quick?
Let's hear it.
Since we're on the topic of NFL and the playoffs, I got, as of right now, all the playoff teams and the teams in the hunt, their head coaches. Starting with the AFC, Mike Vrabel.
Tough. His teams play tough, physical football.
Yeah, he's hard not to like, in my opinion. Andy Reid.
Hilarious. He's an incredibly likable guy as well.
Yeah.
He said something. His New Year's resolution was going to be to eat less, but he'd be Pinocchio if.
That's exactly what he said. Zach Taylor.
Up and comer. I mean, they nailed it with Joe Burrow. I mean, I think he's turning into a top 7 or 8 quarterback in the NFL already. I mean, his last 2 weeks has been ridiculous. Nailed it with Jamar Chase. Offense is putting up a ton of points. They're going to be a tough out playoffs.
If I had to start a franchise right now, aside from Patrick Mahomes, that'd be Joe Burrow.
I might even take Joe Burrow.
Would you?
Over Mahomes. There's something about Mahomes' brother that just rubs me
that's
the wrong
that's
way.
Fair enough. That's fair enough. Sean McDermott.
Oh man, the savior of Buffalo. They were so bad before he got there.
Bill Belichick.
greatest of all time. It's hard to argue. I mean, he's doing that with a rookie quarterback, and they have a chance to win their 9th or 11th game on Sunday.
Frank Reich.
Frank Reich. Let me see. Man, why am I struggling with? I mean, they completely turned their season around. I mean, he started giving Jonathan Taylor the ball. Great offensive mind.
Brandon Staley.
Don't know a single thing about him besides the fact that he's the Chargers head coach. That's it.
I hate that I like him as much as I do of his rival. I think he's a young stud.
We'll have a good one for him.
Yeah, I think he's good.
Good fit with Justin Herbert.
Yep. Mike Tomlin.
Consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're there every single year, at least in the hunt. I don't think they'll make it this year, but wouldn't be surprised if he goes somewhere else as well.
And I'm not sure how to pronounce this guy's last name. Rich Bisaccia?
For
the Raiders interim coach?
Interim. That's about all I can say. I don't think he'll be back next year, but who knows? Maybe they win and they get in. And I mean, honestly, starting with the Gruden stuff and then having to deal with the Henry Ruggs stuff, keeping the team together has been insane. So I mean, he honestly probably deserves Coach of the Year votes just to stay in it.
Their rookie standout corner today got charged with DUI.
Nate Hobbs.
Yep. So
he was so unbelievably bad at the University of Illinois, and that's probably because Lovie Smith was coaching him. I mean,
that works out sometimes.
He was a 4-year starter. It just didn't seem like he was very good. And now he goes to the NFL, and he's been a really good rookie.
Matt LaFleur.
I mean, he's one of the best coaches in the NFC already. And I don't know if that's a product of coaching Aaron Rodgers, but he did a pretty dang good job at Tennessee, turning that thing offense around with Tannehill.
Yep. Sean McVay.
Shawnee McVay. Oh man, fiery. I mean, he's running up and down the sideline. He's got some PJ Fleck energy.
Exactly. Kind of looks like him a little bit too, with more
probably
hair.
About the same age. Yeah.
Yep. Bruce Arians.
Hilarious. I find him incredible. He's the Greg Popovich of the NFL, in my opinion. Older guy. He has that dry sense of humor. I like him.
I do think he should have kicked Antonio Brown off the team a couple
long time ago. I think they got desperate for receivers because Godwin's out and Evans was out. That they allowed that head case back in.
Mike McCarthy.
Oh, terrible! I think he's a terrible head coach.
Kyle Shanahan.
Overrated.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's overrated pretty clearly.
Cliff Kingsbury.
Overrated. They needed that win yesterday against Dallas in the worst way.
Nick Sirianni.
Don't know much about him either, but keeping them together because they look like one of the worst teams in the NFC, and they've completely turned it around. Jalen Hurts has kind of turned it on. Yeah.
And lastly, Sean Payton.
I think he'll be somewhere else next year, maybe Chicago.
Ooh, that's interesting fit. I hadn't thought about that one.
He went to Eastern Illinois. I don't know where he's originally from. I know he's
and he was on the Bears roster for a little while, wasn't he?
I believe so. I'm going to see where he's from real quick. I know he went to Eastern Illinois.
And that's going to do it for the Word Association segment, which is brought to you by Rhett Lee, attorney at law. Rhett Lee and the law office of Andrew Key LLC are located at 206 4th Street in Logansport, Indiana. Rhett provides legal services to the people of North Central Indiana and practices criminal defense, family law, and personal injury. If you need a lawyer who cares about your results and will fight for you, call Rhett today to schedule a free consultation at 574-722-2221.
Sean Payton's from Naperville, which is only like 20 minutes from me.
There you go.
It's pretty close to Chicago, maybe 35-minute drive downtown.
There you go.
So maybe I'm just connecting some dots here.
3 winners, 3 losers from week 17.
3 winners, 3 losers. My first winner is the Arizona Cardinals. That was a game. I mean, they were going to make the playoffs regardless, but that's a game they needed to have just to prove that they're not just a team that folds over here at the end of the season like Kingsbury has at really every stop he's been.
They're one of my winners as well.
Really big one. One of your winners as well.
Yeah, I mean, to go on the road, it was impressive.
Yeah. Vegas Raiders, you got to
one of my winners as well.
They're a winner going on the road. I think they were 12.5 point underdogs or 10, something like that.
No, they were 7,
8.5, 7,
6 or 7 point.
Yeah. That's still a lot in the NFL.
Oh yeah.
But now they're in a win and you're in situation. So credit them getting that done.
Up and down, week to week with them.
Them in the Chargers. Really,
we've wrote them off a couple times.
Yep. Them and the Chargers, it's kind of fitting that they're in a win and in situation.
I hate it, but it's the most compelling game by a mile.
My last winner, Cincinnati Bengals.
We agree. 3 for 3.
I think Bengals. They proved to the NFL that they are absolutely for real and are going to be an incredibly tough, difficult out here next couple weeks.
I think I said on the podcast last year, I thought Cincinnati and Miami starting this year wouldn't have a bad season for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Miami's so tough to say. I mean, way more than I do. Their record might say it wasn't a great season, but they got hot for a little while. So I don't know.
It was a product of the schedule again, but you gotta beat who you play, and it was a whole thing. But speaking of the Dolphins, they are one of my losers.
Mine too.
An incredibly familiar feeling to the point where I was just kind of sitting there and letting it happen, I wasn't getting mad, nothing, because I knew it was going to happen. Every single year they're in this sort of situation where they're in it the final 2 weeks of the year and they go on the road and just get absolutely whooped. It did clear a few things up for me. Tua Tagovailoa is not the guy.
He was horrible yesterday.
He was so bad yesterday. Just awful. They don't have a running game. Their offensive line's terrible. Defense played well. They gave up 34 points, but they played well enough to win. They kept them in it the entire game, then just broke down because they were on the field the entire time and turnovers and all that. I think we'll more than likely see Deshaun Watson in Miami uniform. Not thrilled about that whatsoever. I think yesterday kind of cemented it. Now, if Tua would have gone out and played really well, even if they lost, I think it would have eased some stuff. But he's not a good enough quarterback to win in the NFL right now. And they
could have had Herbert.
Could have had her. Well, I would have been he ticked off if they would have drafted. A lot of people would have. Yeah. I mean, they should have sucked harder and got Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
I mean, they imploded their roster to get their franchise quarterback, and they weren't bad enough, and then they ended up choosing the wrong guy. It's a classic Miami Dolphins story. The feeling yesterday was so familiar that it was what it is. But
one of my other losers, New York Giants.
Me too.
And I mean, I know they've won 4 wins, but I'm looking at that team yesterday, and I know they're without Daniel Jones. I'm like, how did this team win 4 games?
How did Ryan Pace, give Mike Glennon that contract?
He's the worst quarterback I've ever seen, ever. He is
so bad. So bad. They're one of my losers as well. As you said, they were awful yesterday. But then Joe Judge has those comments that with all these players here, they keep telling me they want to be back. We've had players that played for us the past couple of years. They keep texting me. They want me to bring them back. Bill Belichick was on the hot seat the year he won the Super Bowl. He's lying straight through his teeth.
Yeah, they've already given him a vote of confidence, but it'll be interesting to see if they change their mind.
They've lost by at least 2 touchdowns every game since they gave him
a vote of confidence. They're lucky they have 3 top 10 picks.
That helps. The New York football New Jersey football franchises, I should say. Awful.
Yeah, them and Jacksonville. Jacksonville's now with locking in the number 1 pick, they're gonna have picked in the top 10, 14 in the last 15 years.
That's pathetic.
Awful. Just awful.
That is pathetic.
My last loser is double part loser, Antonio Brown and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
The whole thing's just a mess. I mean,
talk about a distraction.
A distraction and a sing. I don't feel sorry for the loser at all. I think he's a loser. I think he quits on everybody. But also with the more details that came out for me in Rapport today, I think the Buccaneers didn't handle it well either. So I just think the whole situation, both sides look bad.
Yep. I agree. My last losers, Baltimore Ravens, had a chance to stay in it or up for a majority of the game, and pretty much the whole game. And the Rams came down, and OBJ made a couple pretty great catches to win the game for him.
Von Miller had a big sack, so they're 2 guys they went out and got paid off for him.
Yep. All right, let's rifle through these picks. How many points did you get last week?
That's a good question. Let me see here. I gotta look at my Yahoo app here because I do the same for my Pick'em league as I do for.
Gotcha.
How many points did you get?
104.
111.
I don't have enough points to beat you tonight anyway. I have Pittsburgh for 4.
I have Pittsburgh for 1.
Yep. So you won this week. That's an L. For the J, man.
For the first time in a long time, as my phone falls over.
Not happened in a while. We have. Yeah, you get to wear the belt this week. I need to get myself a belt. Just
you do.
Yeah.
You do like a little foam one or something and slap on a Tan and J Man Show sticker, which you can get at tanandjmanshowstore.com.
Good. Nice.
Little plug there.
New England at Miami.
I got the Patriots for 4.
I have the Dolphins for 5. I don't know why I feel like the Dolphins
going down
win
swinging.
this one. And that I didn't even factor that into maybe the Dolphins just quit since they got eliminated. If they still had something to play for, maybe. But I don't know. I have a hard time picking New England.
Yeah.
New Orleans Saints at the Atlanta Falcons.
Got the Saints for 7. Saints are still alive.
I have the Falcons for 6. I think the Saints are garbage.
I don't think either team's very good.
No. Atlanta was still alive too as of yesterday, but they are not.
I mean, Buffalo tried to keep that game hanging around, but
Josh Allen was real bad yesterday.
Yeah,
I know it was in the snow, but wasn't good. Jets at Buffalo.
I got Buffalo for 10.
I have Buffalo for 16. Jets are garbage.
You always pick Buffalo for 16. It seems like that's 2 straight weeks.
Yeah. I mean, their schedule's been pretty easy the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
Cincinnati at Cleveland.
I got the Cincinnati Bengals for 11.
I have Cincinnati for 4. Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions.
Even though Green Bay's already got everything clinched, they're the only team in the whole playoff field that's got their seat clinched. I think their backups are better than Detroit starters. I got Green Bay for 15.
I have Green Bay for 14. I'm right there with you. Detroit's bad. Chicago Bears at the Minnesota Vikings.
This was a tough one. I got the Vikings for 3.
I have Minnesota for 9. Bears would be best served to not play Justin Fields if he's any sort of banged up. Just put him in bubble wrap and say we'll see you at OTAs in the offseason.
Yep.
Green Bay for 14. Or, sorry, Minnesota for 9. Washington football team at the New York Giants.
I got the Washington football team, but only for 6. Even though I just trashed the Giants.
Yeah, I have the football team for 3. Kind of same, but I don't think football team's very good either.
No.
Dallas at Philadelphia.
Another tough one to pick. I got Philly for 2.
I have Philadelphia for 1. They're lucky Jalen Hurts was not injured with that railing falling and all those people falling to the ground. They need to tear that stadium
I've heard
down.
that stadium's a dump. It has sewage problems. Obviously has railing problems.
It's the Oakland Athletics Stadium of the NFL.
Yep.
Carolina at Tampa Bay.
I have Tampa Bay for 13.
I only have Tampa Bay for 8 for some reason. I don't know why, but Tampa Bay for 8. Indianapolis at Jacksonville Jaguars.
Got the Colts for 12.
I have the Colts for 15.
If they lose this game, they don't deserve to make the playoffs.
Right, and they probably still get in, I think.
Really? I think if they lose, they're pretty much out.
Really?
I think so.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'm usually wrong. So Pittsburgh at Baltimore.
I got Baltimore for 8.
I have Baltimore for 7. They need Lamar Jackson back, although Tyler Huntley hasn't
been too bad.
No. Tennessee at Houston.
I got Tennessee for 16.
Houston beat them earlier in the year. That's not going to happen again. Tennessee for
1 seed on the line.
Yep. Tennessee for 13.
Yeah.
Kansas City at Denver.
This is the Saturday game. Good news, Bronco fans. This means our season's over before anybody else's. Yeah, it's the 4:30 Saturday game now. Chiefs for 14.
I have Kansas City for 12. LA Chargers at the Vegas Raiders. This is an interesting one.
It's a Sunday night game. Winners in. I got the Chargers for 1.
I have the Chargers for 2.
Yeah, this should be a good one.
I'd prefer to see the Chargers in. Would you? I'd assume you'd prefer to see the Chargers.
Yep, that's why I picked them for 1.
Then we have San Francisco 49ers at the LA Rams.
Trying to find this game on my sheet. Oh, I got the Rams for 5.
I have the Rams for 11. I don't think the Rams have well, they still have. They need to win the division.
Yep.
Because Seattle, I have Rams for 11. Seattle plays at Arizona.
Got Arizona for 9.
I have Arizona for 10. Last pick'em of the year.
And that is the second Saturday game. No, second Saturday game is the Eagles Cowboys.
Eagles Cowboys. Okay.
Of course, it's NFC East. Why wouldn't they want to put the NFC East prime time?
All right, let's talk some college hoops here real quick. We only have 5 minutes.
Can you give me a score update because I literally have 8 text messages on my phone.
Wisconsin's up 16-14. Purdue just had like a 6-minute scoring drought or field goal drought, and they're still only down 2. So
that would be why I have so many text messages. Still going.
They're missing threes. Travion missed a 3. Jaden Ivey's missed at least 2 or 3 of them. But Wisconsin's not scoring either, so Purdue will find their footing. But Big Ten play started. Bad loss for Indiana yesterday. Almost bad loss for Ohio State yesterday, but they found a way to get her done. Then Michigan State won in Northwestern.
Hey, life on the road in Big Ten stuff.
It's tough, except hopefully I don't jinx it, but Illinois won 9 of 10 Big Ten road games, which is pretty crazy, but they go on the road to Minnesota, and I just jinxed it. Wisconsin at Purdue. I'm taking Purdue.
Yeah, I'll take the Boilers. But you know Wisconsin only won at Mackey 4 times in program history.
That's crazy. Maryland at Iowa.
Give me the Hawkeyes.
Give me Iowa as well. Maryland has a tough week this week. They have at Iowa tonight and then at Illinois Thursday.
Talk about a team I haven't watched much. Maryland.
That's rough. Yeah, me either. Illinois is back from COVID pause. They had 10 players test positive. And as of Wednesday, I was reading on the message board that their insider said they had 5 players that could have played. Brandon Lieb would have been their starting center. And Trent Frazier would have shot the ball every single time down.
Been entertaining to watch.
Not for me.
Not for you.
They're back playing at Minnesota. Don't know how many practices, but it sounds like everyone will be able to go. It sounds like a couple guys might have to wear masks while they play, though.
That'll be weird.
Which I see one guy for Wisconsin doing that tonight. Illinois at Minnesota.
Illinois.
Give me Illinois. I think it'll be close, but I think Illinois just shoots the ball too well. Michigan at Rutgers. Man, it's the toughest way to start.
I'm going to take Rutgers.
Michigan's 4-point favorites. Give me Rutgers.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother about that game or that game. Maryland at Illinois.
Illinois.
Give me Illinois. I think they have a good chance to start out 5-0 because they then have at Nebraska over the weekend. Ohio State at Indiana. This is a game Indiana almost needs already.
I'm taking Ohio State.
Give me Indiana.
I think it'll be a close one, but
I do too. I think they win the road game, though.
I don't think IU has good enough guards right now.
Yeah. Iowa at Wisconsin.
I'm just going with a lot of home teams. Give me Wisconsin.
Give me Iowa. I just don't believe in Wisconsin whatsoever. Michigan State at Michigan. Michigan needs at least one of these this week.
I think Michigan State's better, but give me Michigan.
Give me the home team. Yeah, give me Michigan. That's all we have time for. I'm going to hit you with the Birdie Bogey real quick.
Okay. Do you have a book it this week?
Oh, shoot. My book it is the LA Chargers will win the game against the Raiders and make the wild card. J-Man's Book Prediction of the Week brought to you by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance Agent Travis Wottring for life, home, auto, business, renters, workers' comp, and farm insurance. Contact Travis at 219-869-4561. His email is travis.watching@infb.com. Did not even look at it. I have it down.
That's impressive.
Devin Booker became the 3rd player ever to have to score 10,000 points and have 800 made threes before turning the age of 26. Who are the other 2?
You know, it's been a long episode. When I was going through my mind, Birdie Bogey, I thought it was a quarterback question. I forgot it was NBA related. Oh, crap. Before the age of 26?
Yep. 10,000 points, 800 made threes.
10,000 points. Age of 26. Ray Allen?
No.
Man. That's a lot of 3-pointers, though. Kobe?
No.
Just kidding. I start off 2022 with a bogey. What gives? I hate this segment.
LeBron James.
Oh, yeah.
And Kevin Durant.
Sense. Yeah, those both make sense. I was just thinking 3-point shooters in my head.
I thought you'd say Steph, but that was kind of like
thought about it, and then
he didn't get drafted till he was 22,
right.
all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God, I'm stupid. LeBron was 18 and Durant was 19.
19, yeah.
Oh, nice overthinking bogey there, Tanner. You deserve every bit of that one.
Thanks for watching.
At least I got the belt on my shoulder. It feels a little better this week.
He's got the belt too. To help him out there. Thanks for watching the Tan and J-Man Show live on the ISC Sports Network. We will be back at it next Monday with another episode. Stay healthy, everybody.